Welcome to EP Daily. Today on the show, we discuss the future of Metal Gear Solid in the rundown.
Plus, Bandai Namco's trying out a new attack with Rise of Incarnates.
And then Homeworld has been remastered, and we've got a review.
Frigate under attack.
Also coming up, Tommy pays a visit in our classic review of Homeworld II. We're tipping stars with Mario and Donkey Kong, and much more today on EP Daily. Brought to you by EB Games. I'm your host, Marissa Roberto, bringing you the latest in everything cool every single day. I've just found a secret channel on the codec, and it's got something very cool called The Rundown. It looks like the end of an era for one of the world's biggest video game franchises. Metal Gear Solid creator Hideo Kojima is rumored to be leaving publisher Konami once he's finished with the latest game, Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. His internal development team, Kojima Productions, might also be disbanded, which means future games in the Metal Gear series would be handled by a different group of people. No reason has been given for the potential split between Konami and Kojima, and he hasn't said what he plans to do next. Expect more details in the coming weeks. Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain arrives September 1st. Disney doesn't want to be blowing any smoke in their movies. CEO Bob Iger has revealed that the studio has banned the use of tobacco and tobacco products in their upcoming films, including movies from subsidiaries like Pixar, Marvel, and Lucasfilm. This means Tony Stark and other characters won't be able to sit back with a cigar, and Jabba is going to have to quit that hookah pipe. Studies have shown links between depictions of smoking in entertainment and its popularity in real life, and Disney says they don't want to encourage it. The ban won't be applied retroactively to the existing films in the Disney library, so older movies won't be censored.
Ow! My doggy!
That's it for the rundown. Now here to join me in our lovely conversation, it is Scott C. Jones. Scott, are you going to miss smoking in Disney movies?
I probably won't miss smoking in Disney movies. I do feel myself as I get older, and I've never really been a smoker. What's so funny?
No, you're just really in thought.
Noticing, yeah, I am. But noticing whenever anyone smokes in any movie or any cartoon or anything, but I don't ever feel offended by it. I'm not sure what kids take from that. When I was a kid, everyone on television, everyone in every magazine, everyone everywhere smoked, but
right.
It doesn't seem like that many people smoke anymore. I mean, I applaud it. I think it's a positive thing. If it's not an integral part of the narrative of the story, if it's not part of like a 1940s detective time when everybody was smoking, then we don't really need it. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when I do watch smoking, it does look appealing on screen, but I would never. Nothing about it actually is appealing in real life because you can't actually smell it when it's on screen. So that's why I'm okay with it in movies. But I'm glad that Disney's taking it out, but they're not taking out.
Yeah.
Killing.
That's right. And the people are still killing in the Star Wars movies. There's still lots of violence in all of the Avengers stuff. And I mean, that stuff is not going to go away soon. And I think it's probably, you know, has longer term, much more harmful effects on the viewers of this content. That's true.
Well, you know a character that smokes a lot in video games. It's Solid Snake.
Oh, praying mantis, you'll never win.
Are you disappointed that Hideo Kojima is leaving?
I think he'll be fine, no matter what. Hideo Kojima, he's made so many great games. He has such a great history, and he's such an ambitious, weird dude. I think that things have just gotten out of control in the last couple of years. Games have gotten bigger and more complicated to make, and it just feels like his latest project has kind of spun in all the wrong directions. I feel bad for him, but I'm sure he's going to find a place and a way to bring all of his visions to life again. So I'm not really worried about him. I think it's usually a good thing for an artist when there is a split. Everybody turns out okay.
Yeah, no, I don't feel bad for him. And you're right, he's a little bit of a weird dude. I had to unfollow him from Twitter, but let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on and let's talk about a fighting game called The Rise of the Incarnates. Jose Sanchez got it underneath his magnifying glass.
Are you ready for The Rise of Incarnates? Sounds like a damn monster movie. It's also a pretty good video game. Tell me about Rise of Incarnates and who are these Incarnates?
The game is a 2-on-2 fighting and shooting melee combined into a hybrid pattern. So it's something that I guess Western gamers aren't familiar with. In Japan, the Gundam series shares the same formula. But the Rise of Incarnates, these characters are these human guys who for one day woke up with special abilities where they can channel power from gods and demons. All of them, they have unique abilities. Some can transform into demons, some can summon a deity to fight alongside of them. Others will transform into a wolf, so we got a lot of cool characters.
So where did you guys come up with the idea for these characters, and how did you figure out that this was something you could put together?
In the near futures, maybe some big disaster in the earth, maybe old deity power comes this age. This is the basic idea.
It's kind of a blending of old mythology with the near future, a realistic environment. So it's kind of a melding of those two.
Can you talk to us about some of the settings that we're going to see within the game?
We have the 3 maps. It's New York and Paris and London. All 3 cities are very distracted. For example, London, in the center of London, there is some big volcano.
The environments are, real-world cities, so people be used to it. You have a Big Ben. We have a big satellite beam that destroys the Arc de Triomphe. Yeah. There's real-world locations that people are used to, but you can blow it up and destroy it.
Talk to me about the different combinations of characters and how picking specific characters might change the way the game plays.
So we have a variety of different characters. All of the characters can do both close-range melee attacks as well as long-range shooting attacks, but most are usually good at one or the other, not both. So the way you choose them kind of depends on whether you want to melee. I would go melee and he would support me with long-range fire from far away, and I keep the enemies away from him. There's also the cost system. So I have a health gauge for my character, and even if I die, I can respawn as long as the team health gauge is still there. But each time I die and respawn, that takes away a little bit from the team health pool. And one character like Lilith might just take a little bit, but she's not as strong. She's very quick, but not as much health. Or I could use Odin, a big, powerful guy with lots of health and firepower, but he has 3 bars, and if I die with him, it takes a lot off the team pool. So part of it is, are they melee, are they long range, are they quick, or also the cost, is it a low cost character, are they both 2 costs? Because if I have 2 high cost characters, 1 death each finishes the match. But if I'm like the Lilith, the low cost one, I could die 5 times and still not lose. It's really about your play style and how that works with your partner, and then the cost system about how efficient it is.
I got to be honest, I have no idea what incarnate means.
Oh, that's okay, little guy. You're always a step or 2 behind me on the show.
And you have no idea either. I know that to be true. And listen, coming up next, we're going to travel into the past with a review of Homeworld Remastered back in 2.
Welcome back to EP Daily. As you can tell by looking at him, Scott is very, very old.
What are you talking about? We're all about the same age on this show.
Sure we are, you delusional incarnate.
Again with the fancy language, but listen, Homeworld, they have made a remastered version of it.
Okay, well here's the show's elders with their review.
Deep inside the ruin was a single stone that would change the course of our history forever. On the stone was etched a galactic map and a single word more ancient than the clans themselves. Higara, our home.
One of the vacancies in my gaming history, well, there are many, frankly. One is Homeworld. This is a game exclusively for the PC, and this was a game that everybody wrote about and talked about for ages, and I always thought, oh, one of these days I'm going to go back to Homeworld, and now I have an excuse to go back to Homeworld.
Why did you have to say it in that voice?
That's the voice I use when I have to go back to things,
okay.
and then so we're back at Homeworld. It's not 1998. It's not 2003. This is a real-time strategy game for the PC, and boy, this thing doesn't hold back here.
There are not really big training wheels on this game.
No, there's a big training section, though.
There is a tutorial for sure that's going to get you into this game.
It's like 7 hours just to get through the training.
It takes about 2 missions before you realize, holy crap, this thing is way too complicated for me to deal with right now.
Yeah, that's exactly my experience. How'd you know? Were you in my living room?
Because I had that experience when I played through this thing for the first time. But
you were alive in 1998?
I was, yeah. And reviewed it on the show as well.
Frigate under attack. Mobile refinery under attack.
The technology on display, certainly back in 1998 and still here in 2015, is all impressive across the board. But what's really impressive for me is how much heart there is in this campaign.
Orbital target acquired.
I'm not a huge RTS fan. I like turn-based strategy games. I don't like having to constantly keep doing stuff while the computer's doing stuff,
yes,
or your opponent is doing stuff, because there is multiplayer here.
Because there is second-by-second humiliation happening.
I don't enjoy that at all. But I did appreciate the story here and how mature we had mature games like this back in 1998.
Man. How did the BSG team that made the show not play this like crazy and borrow so much liberally from it? Because it does feel, especially now, I mean, the voiceover work, the music is incredible, the writing is deep, and
the ship design.
And we're facing a lot of these kinds of concepts as a society in the world right now. You know, we're talking about space travel and finding other Earths and all this stuff. So it feels even more topical, more timely, and just as incredibly artful and fulfilling, all remastered in this collection. You don't get all of the expansion packs. Apparently some of the expansion packs were lost by the developers that worked on the game. They lost actually the code, so they couldn't recreate some of the stuff.
It could be in a dumpster behind the Relic office. Let's check.
No, it wasn't the Relic team, but it really is amazing that it was Relic that worked on this, and they also worked on Company of Heroes, because they've really defined, I think, the best that RTS can be out of this city, out of Vancouver. And God, it's so great to jump back into these titles. And if you're like Scott and you've never experienced them before, I really, even though they're tough, and they're time-consuming, I urge you to give them a shot, because they're beautiful.
I knew you would, and I knew you were going to say all of these things, and you're not wrong. You're absolutely right. But I do feel like what this game asks from you as a gamer is a lot. It's a lot. If you're married, if you have kids, if you have a family, if you have a meaningful relationship, you probably can't have any of those things and get into this, because this feels almost like a religion. It feels like something you have to worship at the altar of Homeworld, and that's the only way you're going to start getting good things back from this game.
Both games are superb. If you've ever had the aspiration to feel like Commander Adama, this is your game, and I love them individually. I love them even more as a package. 10 for me.
I love you. Only gets a 7 for me. Oh, you're right, Marissa. I'm so old now.
Aw, believe it or not, Vic and his other elderly friend reviewed the original Homeworld sequel.
Oh, yeah, this is that little guy.
All right, we're back, and we're going to talk now about Homeworld II. This one's for the PC from Vivendi Universal and Relic Entertainment. What'd you think of this one, man?
I gotta be honest with you, like, I just don't like these kind of games. As much as I try to get into them, I just can't.
I love this game. I think that it's a phenomenal game, okay?
I don't believe.
First of all,
are you kidding me?
I loved it. Now, the big innovation that the original Homeworld game introduced was the fact that all of the gameplay took place in a true 3D space environment. So you could position your spaceship on a 2D plane, but then you could also go up or down on the Z plane and meet your opponents in different parts of space. And the thing with this game is that you're not controlling little orcs or little tanks or anything like that. You're controlling an enormous fleet of spaceships. You've got fighter craft, you've got bomber craft, you've got capital ships. There's never been a real-time strategy game like this.
StarCraft?
No, in StarCraft you're controlling little creatures, and they've got tanks, and they're on planets and bases and stuff like that. And it's not in true 3D space. It's a pseudo 3D world.
When the graphics are this bad, who cares if it's in 3D?
Are you insane, man?
This is a PC game.
The graphics are phenomenal in this game.
Phenomenal.
There's great lighting effects on all of the different ships. You can see every laser blast that hits every single craft. You can see explosions going off. Watching those capital ships explode.
Every game has lasers and explosions.
This is gorgeous.
I don't understand.
Not every game is in control of like 100 different spaceships flying around each other like that.
But you have to pull out so far that all you see is little green circles or red squares.
It's a strategy game. It's
so
not,
how is that
it's not an
great
air
graphics?
Combat game.
So green circles and red squares, that's great graphics.
That's one way to look at it.
On a 2D pasted background.
It isn't a 2D background. It's a complete 3D map.
One way to look at it, but that's the way you always have to look at it. Answer me this question.
Yes.
Did you or did you not think that this was probably the most difficult and tedious?
Not tedious.
It is if the developers never actually sat down and played their own game.
I think they played it so much they thought, oh man, people are going to love it, and let's amp up the difficulty because they're going to be addicted to this.
Not at all.
It's a very enjoyable game.
What about
you just have to have patience for it, and you don't have any patience.
Obviously, I don't have any patience, because if something I put in I don't find entertaining at all, I don't find fun at all, of course I'm not going to have any patience for it.
The way I look at this game,
myself. If I have a pebble and it's in my shoe, I don't just get used to it. I take my damn shoe off, I get rid of the pebble, and I move on to the next thing.
9 out of 10.
Oh,
it's a great game.
Homeworld 2 gets the 2.
Oh man, you are punishing
On the positive side, the graphics...
Wait a second, you hated... What? I'm doing the positives.
All right.
On the positive side, this game's got a much improved user interface. It's a lot easier to play this game. There are a whole bunch of cool brand new units like the Marine Frigate. Although Tommy hated the graphics, I thought they were unbelievably cool. And the voiceovers and music are amazing in this game.
On the negative side, although Vic loved the graphics, I thought they were just okay in plain. This game is extremely difficult, but worst of all, if you're not into these games, I mean, this one is the ultimate bore fest. I felt like I was going to school.
Still haven't forgiven Tommy for that one. Now stick around when we come back. Mario and Donkey Kong are tipping stars together in our review. Don't go away. Welcome back to EP Daily. Mario and Donkey Kong first started fighting more than 30 years ago, and the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series has kept that blood feud alive. The latest is called Tipping Stars. Here's our review. Mario vs. Donkey Kong is a long-running franchise now, believe it or not. It's on the 3DS with Tipping Stars, and it's also on the Wii U. This is the first Nintendo cross-buy title. If you buy it for one platform, you get it on the other. I've always loved these games, and I had a good time jumping right back in. But there's not a whole bunch new here, is there?
Yeah,
really?
let me tell you something, my friend. Yeah. I have not always loved these games, and we've been reviewing them for years. Yeah. And the thing I liked and appreciated about Tipping Stars, maybe more so than I appreciated in like the previous versions of this game, is I like how condensed the levels are. I would get up and I would only play one level a day. Yeah. I would chip away at this game, and this is exactly the same spirit that I had when I chipped away at Donkey Kong on the Game Boy years and years ago. And I had that same kind of thrill. How am I going to solve this puzzle? How am I going to get all of these mechanical wind-up Mario toys, all of these Princess Peach wind-up toys in motion so they go where I want them to go? How am I going to get these Donkey Kongs that are mechanical to do what I want them to do?
Throwing your characters around.
And I don't know, there was something kind of charming, and when it works, it's just great.
Yeah, and especially because there's limitations with how much you can use the different resources, how many girders you can stretch across, or how many little jump platforms you can pop in place, or the hammers that are scattered through that will allow you to bash the kind of possessed Mario character that runs around and chases after you.
Oh, that shadowy one. I did not like him.
I know. There's a lot of these little things that just sort of pop up.
I liked him a little bit.
It looks so innocuous, right? Like so simple. It's even more nefarious in a way than the Donkey Kong game. This franchise has sort of become the spiritual successor of, because the characters don't stop moving and they just run into their death like lemmings, and it becomes frustrating. But I don't mind the restart on these levels, and I
didn't mind it either.
I also like the level editor, which they've had before, but now there's a whole sort of beefed up community, and now they're really enticing people to tip their hat to the levels that they like, and then Nintendo's also going to be delivering extra levels forever. So you're getting quite a bit of content. The main chunk of the game isn't super long, but there's lots of extended bonus in there.
I just like how colorful this whole package is. I guess I'm easily dazzled at this point in my life. It just looks and it feels and it looks like it smells fresh. Everything about this feels fresh and exciting, and you know, gave me a little jolt of electricity. I didn't expect it going into this thing. I thought another Mario vs. Donkey Kong puzzle level. I like puzzle games. I like the pace of this.
I think one of the big reasons why you like this is because it's kind of, the franchise became kind of a spiritual successor to Donkey Kong. You don't really control the characters like you did in Donkey Kong, but you've got to kind of solve the puzzles on these pretty much single screen type of variations, just like you did with Donkey Kong, and there is that pull to keep going back. I don't think there's enough new here that gets me that excited that it's back. I'm just glad that it is back.
Maybe you're all out of like. You might have used up all your like for this month.
I may have tipped enough stars.
Vic's like tank is empty right now. Mine is still pretty full, though.
I do like it, though. What are you going to give Tipping Star?
I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think this is great stuff.
Get 7 from me. Reportedly, Mario and Donkey Kong each enjoyed a nice glass of Chardonnay after making that game, which is weird because that's exactly what Scott and I did after we shot that review. Stick around. The Twitter question of the day is coming up after the break. If you want more EP, go to our website, epn.tv, for bonus content and full episodes. We're also on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to EP Daily. It is time now for the best part of today's show. It is the Twitter question of the day. This one comes from Cyberwolf. He or she is at Cyberwolf. They ask, are there any games you'd swear your cat was watching intently? Recently, mine seemed to enjoy Ori and the Blind Forest. That's a good one.
That is a good one, and that's a good choice for cats, too, because I think the little creature in it, the little Ori, looks a little cat-like and jumps like a little cat. But no, my cats always watch me when I play video games, and I feel a little bit sad, and I feel like maybe I might never meet anybody, and I might always have loneliness in my life. But listen, they seem to enjoy themselves. They watch you no matter what you're doing, whether you're eating your chili or whether you're playing video games. But I think Tetris is probably the best game imaginable for cats. They like watching those shapes move sort of slowly and inevitably to the bottom of the screen. That's fun for them. So if you have it on a big screen, not on the Game Boy, on a big screen, the cats are going to enjoy watching that.
Scott, I heard you're never alone if you have cats.
That's true. They are my loves.
EP Daily is done for another day, where you can check out full episodes, extended interviews, previews, reviews, and everything else we do, all at EPN.tv.
And listen, we're already working on some new EP stories, including a look at the upcoming action party game, Runmo. See you tomorrow, everybody.
Bye.
EP would like to thank its sponsors, Nintendo, Xbox. EP's mobile coverage is brought to you by Gamelock, makers of Dragon Mania Legends, which you can play for free right now.
Where did the idea for this come from? What inspired you guys?
We built Runbo at the Toronto Global Game Jam in 2014. We wanted to make a game that made you feel panicked and hurried, like the kind of competitive, crazy screaming that we hear over here. We had an idea for this color mechanic that we'd never seen before. We wanted to see how far we could push it and how much we can actually make a multiplayer experience be as crazy and as frantic and as inclusive as possible.